Say nay. Next is acknowledgement of visitors and or special presentations. The first one we're going to do is the Citizen of the Year Award. We have a couple. So first thing I'm going to do is get up here and wait a second. How you guys? How you guys? Hello? Is it on? We good? All right. How you guys doing? I think it's this. That's probably kind of like making it not go good. All right, there we go. How's everybody doing? Good for everybody. Good to see everybody here tonight. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Just like last month, you guys remember last month we did a few awards last month. As we come to the end of the year, this is kind of how these things go because year goes by and you have your yearly awards. Tonight we have a couple of awards for Citizen of the Year. The first one that we're going to present, I'm going to have Vice Mayor Urban come up with right now also. The first one we're going to present is going to be to one of our residents, Miss Maribel Fruitstone. Miss Maribel Fruitstone, come on up. Miss Maribel Fruitstone is not only the president of the Women's Club, she's not only the president of the Women's Club, but she's also for the Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force. She's the former vice chair, and she's a member right now, and I appreciate her. And I know Vice Mayor Urban knows her personally, so I wanted him to say some words for her personally while she's here.
Yes, so, all right. Maribel, you wear many hats for several different organizations, not the least of which is an educator. And so I just would like the residents to know that behind the scenes of events that go on and take place, behind the scenes of meaningful, significant actions that will benefit the village well into the future, you are behind a lot of that. And you certainly are not someone who does it for the recognition. And you're also certainly not someone who frequently gets the recognition. And so tonight we just want to be sure that you know that the village greatly appreciates truly all the work that you do selflessly. And we just want to say thank you and acknowledge the great contributions that you make to continuing to keep El Portal to be just a very unique place and ensure that that continues into the future. So thank you most sincerely.
It makes me feel so short next to you. Thank you so much for this honor. Um, you know, I have lived here for 20 years, and all of this has been always to have the vision of where I want my daughter to grow up and be proud of where she lives. And so I will continue to try to assist in making that happen so that she has these beautiful memories. This would not be possible without the support of my husband, who luckily was able to arrive in time. And most especially the El Portal Women's Club. So it was started 5 years ago with our former mayor's vision of reinstating it. And so I picked it up, and these ladies, nothing that we do in this community, I am representing them. They are the ones that assist in doing all of this for us. And we appreciate the council's support on all of our crazy ideas. We're always just trying, like I said, to make our village better and where you want to have your children grow up. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're gonna do pictures. Let's do pictures. Let me get one more, and then we're gonna do pictures. So we'll do pictures. All right. You're good. You're good. Let me also say that. Let me also say that Maribel is not only the president of the Women's Club and the former vice chair of Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force. When I came on as a council person a long time ago, we started this organization, a community, called the ALE committee, which is the Architectural Landscape and Environmental Committee. And we were a part of it. I see former Vice Mayor Harold Mathis just walked in. He was a part of it also. And through the ALE committee, you guys, that is the reason why if you drive through El Portal, our street signs are blue instead of green. They did that. And also when you see those, which Vice Mayor Mathis had a big part in that, also the street signs. Also, when you're coming into El Portal, you see those like welcome to the Village of El Portal signs, the stone signs, and it says welcome to the Village of El Portal. The ALE committee did that also, and we did a whole bunch of other things like that. So, but yeah, we paint, yes, the fire hydrants, fire hydrants red instead of yellow. We did a lot of those things. So the precursor to what is now the Tree Board, what is now Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force, what is now the Little River Conservancy was the ALE committee. I mean, we even were the first ones. We did the Little River Festival. It was a 2-day festival. Started off 6 a.m. with a bird watch thing, and then we had concerts over at Horace Mann Field. It was we did a whole river cleanup. It was a 2-day festival. We had Native Americans come out and serenade the river. It was a whole 2-day festival. It went all day, and you could pick and choose what events you wanted to go to. I might try to bring that back, Maribel. All right, well, thank you. And we had a jazz fest. Yeah, art. Oh, we had so much. All right, so pre-COVID, you guys, pre-COVID. Moving on, we have so many. I want to give a quick shout out to Sidra Urban, by the way. All right, let me give a quick shout out to Sidra Urban. I really appreciate her. Thank you for her. Yes. Thank you very much for her. Moving on, you see the manager's waiting in tow. And the reason why the manager's waiting, Representative Dottie Joseph, we appreciate you being here. But the manager told me, she said, not Representative Joseph. Representative Dottie Joseph's coming mayor. I said, Madam Manager, I need Representative Dottie Joseph. She said, well, I need to do the reading for her. She said, Mayor, if you take this away from me, we're going to be fighting. So I'm going to move out the way, and I'm going to let the manager come up and do this reading. Thank you very much, Madam Manager.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I get a little flustered, so I'm going to pull my mask down just for a moment. Representative Dottie Joseph, please come forward. Thank you. Very good. Our Florida State Representative, yes. Very good. Okay. Our Florida State Representative, District 108, is Dottie Joseph. Representative Joseph is an activist. She's a civil rights attorney, a proud daughter of Haiti and Miami, respectively, having attended Miami-Dade Public Schools until graduation, and then going on to attend Yale University and Georgetown University Law. She is a fearless advocate for this district. When she was a freshman representative, I witnessed it myself just a couple of years ago. She came in slugging for us, for this district, and for the village of El Portal, this little town as well. Sometimes she wins, and those are great times, and sometimes she does not win. But she always turns any loss into an opportunity for the people she represents. So as you know, we are all grateful for her and all that she does and all that she has done and will continue to do for the village of El Portal. So please join me in a hearty round of applause for our 2021 Village of El Portal Citizen of the Year, Representative Dottie Joseph.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate that. She's just telling all my business, you know. Here I am trying to like fly under the radar. When I tell you I'm not a typical whatever position I hold, it's like Joe will tell you, like I like to just fly under the radar and do the work. So for those who don't know me, I am State Representative Dottie Joseph, and I am humbled to be here and to share this award with you. Why don't you come on over here? I want you in my shot too. Come on. You're just standing over there. Come on over here. And I do this because it's our community that makes things work, right? Like whatever happens in Tallahassee, Washington, these are like far off lands, it feels like. But where the rubber meets the road is right here in our communities with what every one of us do day in and day out. And I thank people who have taken up the mantle to serve because it's a challenge. And some people don't understand what a challenge it is, but it is. I was asked to do a little bit of a legislative update. So what I'm going to do instead of a full legislative update, because normally I do that with my colleague Jason Pizzo, who also represents this district as our senator, so we can give you a full legislative update. But I'll give you just a few highlights since we're here, if that's okay. So I hate hiding behind podiums, so I'm gonna just step off over here. And I'm short, so I feel like it hides me. No, you're good. Come on in the spotlight. Oh, you're trying to save me. Please, thank you. He just rescued me. Hallelujah. Thank you. So I'll talk about just the good, because we can do the full legislative update to talk about some of the challenges that we've experienced in the legislature. So good things. Every session that I've been up there, I've been able to pass meaningful legislation as a Democrat. And it's not Democrat or Republican, because if I passed it, that meant Republicans voted for it. I hope we understand that. Sometimes we get so caught up in division lately, and I really want us to focus on the good things that unite us, because there's so much more of that. You may not hear about it as much because it's not as sexy, but it's just as important and probably even more so, okay? So first session, passed 3 bills. I'm not going to get into all of them, but one of them that I want to make sure people are aware of, since we're still kind of in the pandemic and domestic violence is at an all-time high, and child abuse is at an all-time high. So when usually women, not just women, work up the courage to leave a terrible domestic violence situation, there are 2 big concerns. One is, where am I going to live? Which is usually addressed by a shelter, maybe a relative that takes them in, but also how are they going to feed themselves and their family? So if the person works with you, they are integrated into your life and they know where you work. So that becomes an unsafe situation. So after 10 years of various people trying to run this bill, we are finally able to make it through the finish line, and that is now law. So if you are leaving your job because of a domestic violence situation, you get to qualify for unemployment compensation. Now, mind you, that was before we know how jacked up our unemployment compensation system was, but it's still a win, and I'm claiming it. The second session, I have a colleague, Mike Gellin, who serves in the city of Tamarack, who alerted me to the situation with a young man, Dontrell Stevens, who was shot in the back and paralyzed with police excessive force. Now, mind you, when this police debate happens, like, I'm on both sides. I defend law enforcement as a municipal attorney when it's appropriate, settle claims when it's appropriate, but when they do wrong, that needs to be corrected as well, right? Justice doesn't matter what side you're on, it's about justice. This man did everything he was supposed to do, filed a claim, went through litigation, got a judgment, but there's a cap on judgments when you're suing a municipality. So the way you exceed that cap is with something called a claims bill. In the history of the Florida legislature, there have been less than maybe 17 claims bills passed. So I teamed up with a Republican colleague, Juan Fernandez Barquin, and we got a claims bill across the finish line that gave this young man access to a judgment of $6 million. So that was a win. He recently passed away, but we got it in before that so he could at least take advantage of some of that. And the reason I mentioned that he passed away is sometimes we hold on to things, and if you can do it right now, whether it's legislative policy or otherwise, if it's your neighbor, if you can do good today, do not withhold that. Do it now. If you can help somebody, do it now. Anyway, that was the second year. Third year, so Florida is a 2-party consent state when it comes to recording phone conversation. You can't go around recording people on your phone without their permission, okay? We created an exception whereby if you are a victim, whether it's domestic violence, stalking, day rape, whatever it is, and the judge says, hey, you're not supposed to contact this person because we've determined it's unsafe for you to do so. So it's a no contact order. If a no contact order has been issued, most people's reflex when the person contacts them is to record it, right? The very act of doing that was illegal. So what would happen is the person would have the recording to prove the violation. They get stuck in a he said, she said spiral. They can't use the evidence that they have because that very evidence is illegal. Then if the person finds out that they have the evidence, then they want to prosecute the victim. Terrible. So I fixed it. So right now we have an exception to that recording statute whereby the victim can now legally record their abuser if they are contacting them in violation of a written no contact order that the judge has issued and that they are aware of. Okay? And it can only be used for the purpose of proving that violation. So I want to make sure people know about some of the stuff that we're doing. Another bill I passed, and I'll mention this one really quickly, in an effort to address healthcare disparities and just healthcare across the board, we found that for postpartum, like from the time that baby is born, that first year is critical for the mother, right? So we expanded Medicaid coverage. We, meaning Representative Camilla Brown and I, working with the speaker and all the folks, from 30 days postpartum to a full year postpartum. So now that's covered. So these are some things that I just want y'all to know, some of the good news that's coming out of Tallahassee. And I am honored and humbled to represent you. So thank you so much. We're going to go take a proper picture in front of here so you can see us. And thank you so much.
Let me just say really quickly while we're going over there that if you guys remember from the State of the Village address, when I was talking about the $300,000 and I was talking about all the different money that's coming in, one of those, the $300,000 for the horseman traffic calming, she did that for us. So there you go. All right, full moon. How we looking, full moon? We, how we looking? We looking good? All right, we're good. The council can join me one last time, you guys, and then we'll move on to our. Yeah. So we're gonna get started with our agenda pretty soon, but I just want to say really quickly, I want to just bring acknowledgement and awareness that this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And breast cancer is something, cancer as a whole, but particularly breast cancer is something that touches so many individuals within our society. And there are some individuals even right now that I know that recently have discovered that breast cancer has come into their life. The other night, I actually was texting one of them, and I told her, and we all actually know her, but I told her, I said, you know what? I said, I'm not gonna let her name out, but I said, you know what? I said, I think about you, but I don't worry about you. I told her, I said, because you're one of the most mentally and emotionally strong individuals that I've ever met. I said, so if anybody can get over it, you can get over it, is what I told her. So my heart goes out to her. She knows who she is, and I really mean that. And for everybody else, just throughout our society, throughout our country, throughout the world, that have to deal with breast cancer, is something that not only physically is daunting to an individual, but it could be psychologically and emotionally daunting because of the surgeries you have to go through, because of things that you have to change your body in a certain way sometimes. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and allow the any of the council members, the vice mayor, if you guys have anything that you want to say about this, that give you the opportunity before we move on. All right. That being said, yes, come up. Yes, absolutely. Come on up, Representative Joseph. And we appreciate you staying with us. You could tell that she really loves us. She's family, right? Because most elected officials, they take the picture and you never see them again for like 2 more years, right? But she's the best.
I'm here to stay. I can't get rid of me that easy. So I just really want to emphasize, if you are a woman age 40 or over, please, please, please get your screening. If you don't have insurance, I'm going to be having some events, and I will get that to your your village manager to distribute. But I'm going to have one in North Miami and in North Miami Beach. So those will be free. So if you have questions about insurance, do not let that be a reason you can't afford it for you not to get it. We will make it happen. And if you have questions about that, you can call my office at 850-717-5108. We want to make sure that you get that screening. Early detection saves lives. So please, please, please get screened. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, I will say one thing. So my wife and I lost a very close friend 2 years ago. There are members of her family have dealt with this going back decades. Some of you may or may not know, but I'm a writer and a poet. And the current story I'm working on, I've done a fair amount of research. I have a character in a story that is actually dying of breast cancer in the year 1979. And this character in this story believes that they understand the cause of her cancer. And so, for example, there are studies out of Cape Cod that associate breast cancer with the spraying of cranberry bogs with pesticides. And I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to say that with all cancers, we are dealing with causalities that I don't believe our society is addressing. And so I would just like to take the opportunity, since I sit in that seat and I have this microphone in front of me, to say out loud that many, if not most, cancers that we deal with have a connection to pollution. It's not some granola tree hugging sense of whatever you might want to call it. This is verifiable. This is there's plenty of research behind this, and we need to talk about reality that we put carcinogens in mass into our environment, and without slowing that down, my concern is that someone will actually cure cancer, and then we'll say, well, we don't have to stop injecting carcinogens into our environment any longer. And so when I was younger, I worked with Special Olympics for 16 years. And I can tell you from having met thousands of people who deal with both physical and mental disabilities that this is the same category of causality that we're dealing with, the same way we see the affliction of cancer affecting almost every single human being on this planet. The EPA did a study just a few years ago, 33,000 tissue samples across the entire demographic of the United States. This is deceased persons. They removed tissue samples from deceased persons, 33,000 individuals. 100% of them contain plastics and solvents. So this is something that needs to be said out loud more often, and I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity now to do so.
Thank you all. Okay, you want to say something?
As some of you know, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer in February of 2020. And that came 6 months after emergency triple bypass surgery. So she was vulnerable. It was a bad time as the start of the pandemic. She battled it all year. Finally, after Thanksgiving, she had a mastectomy, which discovered that she was not at stage 2, as we'd been told. She was at stage 3C, a lot more serious. She had 6 months of chemotherapy, 8 treatments, 3 weeks apart, which was very tough, and 5 weeks of radiation, 5 days a week. And then she finished, and we went on vacation with our daughter. I'm happy to say that they're not finding anything, and today she visited the radiologic oncologist who gave her a clean bill of health. She'll be taking some pills. She said, well, how long do I take them? And they said, 10 years. I thought that sounded pretty good because I like the idea she's still going to be taking them 10 years from now. And hopefully beyond that. Because all of us have made an effort on breast cancer as a society, and because we've looked to prioritize women's health, which was so neglected for so long and still is, but less. Women are surviving this disease more than ever. We have a lot more to do, but the diagnosis today is no longer, in most cases, a death sentence as it was not all that long ago. Long way to go, but good news, not just for my wife, but for a lot of women who are able to deal with this terrible thing. Our colleague, Representative Joseph, I saw Senator Polsky just today, and she's in good shape, good spirits. She's fighting, and she knows she's going to beat it too. So I just wanted to say that to everybody. Thank you.
And thank you to Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, who does remind us that breast cancer is not something that only women go through, but men go through it also. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, moving on, you guys. Next is good and welfare. If anybody wants to come up and say anything right now about anything at all, now is your time to do so. We do have another good and welfare toward the end of the meeting. Okay. How we looking on Zoom? Any hands up? We're good? Come on up, Ms. Colleen. Just say your name and address for the record. And the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is oops. Hi, my name is Juliana Kolinger. I live at 8650 Northeast Miami Court. As you know, our street was the first street to start the new drainage system that they're doing on the sides of the road. And I just had a couple of questions. If there was a contact that we could have of the main person in charge or supervisor of the job. We've seen a couple of people coming in that look like if they're the bosses, but then we talk to them and they're not. So we would like a contact that we could have. That's question number one. And question number two was if it's possible to know where the grills that the water goes through, to know exactly where they're going, because we're seeing that they're putting them in front of our yards, but it's not necessarily the house that floods the most. It's actually up a house or down a house, but the house where we know, because we live there, that has flooded the most, it's not exactly there. So if that grill hole that they're doing, that where the water goes in, is in the land that is up here, this is where it floods. It should be down here. And we're noticing that they're installing it up here. So those are little items that we're noticing, and we want to know if there's somebody that we can talk to make them really assess these things before things get permanent. Those are my two concerns.
Thank you very much, Ms. Colleen. I appreciate you saying that. So I'm going to have the manager. We'll send you an email tomorrow with that information. But I know that for the second question, where as far as the plans of the construction plans, I'll see if we can probably try to find it. But I'm sure it's in that link of those 300 pages that I sent you.
That's exactly why I wanted to ask more specifically, because I saw it.
It was a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot in that. Yeah, but those construction plans that I sent you. But we'll see if we can figure that out, and we'll contact them.
We're just noting these little things that I think, with common sense, that we're thinking is like, okay, the water is not going to go up. The water goes down.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And we want to make sure it's filtering where it needs to be filtered.
I got you.
And I believe that's it.
We'll get you that information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, anybody else good in welfare? No hands up, we're good? All right, we're good. All right, seeing none. Moving on to agenda item H1. This is the new building official introduction. Madam Manager, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. We have Mr. Pedro Martinez here with us. He is the new building official for the Village of El Portal. Welcome, Mr. Martinez. Now, I know you all are well acquainted with Mr. Mark Jean, who has been our building official for about 1.5 years now. He came in during COVID, and we didn't get to see him too much in person, but I see him all the time. But he's moving on to another opportunity in North Miami. And we have been blessed with Mr. Pedro Martinez coming to us. I've provided you all his resume. It is quite extensive, and it shows his varied positions and depth of work. And I think he'll lead our village with the building officials in that role. Just to speak about the department a bit, Mr. Martinez will also be a part of the scanning and the document management project that we are undertaking to make. I'm going to let him, he said it in a way a few days ago that I said, this just makes so much sense, but it will provide a faster service, which is better for the customer/resident. So we're looking forward to more efficiencies and better service and a better department. And so the document scanning and document management project will be starting very, very soon. We're thinking in the next couple of weeks, and we hope to have everything put into place for early next year. So that's a great step for the Village of El Portal in terms of technological advances that we so desperately need to have the efficiency we need to get this work done. So welcome, Mr. Martinez. And do you have any words you'd like to say? Well, okay. Well, we have the most confidence in you, and we wish you well. So thank you and welcome to the Village of El Portal. Thank you.
Let me have Mr. Martinez come up very quickly so that the camera can see you, because we want everybody to see your wonderful face, Mr. Martinez. We want to get you on camera. Just come up to the podium real quick for us. And say hi to the residents of El Portal.
Hello, good evening to everybody. Again, thank you for your confidence. With the help of the company I work with, we'll do our best to help. We're part of the team for the city, and we'll do our best to bring progress like it happens. I mean, history is progress. We always change and improve everything, like you mentioned in your speech at the beginning. So we're with you. We will do our best to improve everything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martinez. We appreciate you. Thank you, and welcome. Thank you very much. So we're moving on to H2, you guys. This is village personnel discussion. Vice Mayor Erbaum, I believe you wanted the village personnel discussion. You want to talk about personnel in the village? That was you.
Yes. So with just the previous item highlights, and you actually did a good job of addressing that in your State of the Village as well. The situation that we're in right now tonight is that we won't tell Mr. Martinez how beloved Mark Jean was and how much he's going to be missed, because truly Mark Jean was a phenomenal addition to the village, and we certainly are sad to see him go. I agree that the resume of Mr. Martinez is also phenomenal, and I think we're going to have great things there. So we're in a lucky and fortunate position to have an immediate option of an excellent, viable replacement for building official, right? Okay, so next is Chief Magnuson. I believe that most of us knew as Chief Magnuson came on board that we were going to be fortunate to be able to have him as long as possible, because someone of Chief Magnuson's caliber also is destined to be fleeting for us here at the Village of El Portal, because of the limitations of what we're able to offer somebody with that much experience and with that much clout. So certainly we are incredibly grateful and glad to have had Chief Magnuson as long as we did, and we do agree with his assessment that we're in a good place with the police department to be able to continue all of the things that he built. So again, we're fortunate that we have certainly a named candidate, but as well probably at least one, if not two other possible candidates. We're in good shape with leadership in the police department, so we're fortunate again in that regard. Now with Officer Sharyar, our code enforcement officer, again, she came in replacing somebody who I was very grateful for, Officer King. Officer King, he was he really got us pointed in the right direction from kind of a 10-year lag in code enforcement, right? And then with the health issues he had, and then again, because of the caliber of person he was, received a better opportunity somewhere else. And those of you who know me know that coming from 25 years working in hospitality, I will never in my life begrudge not a single person for moving on to a better opportunity. So, I've seen turnover that would make people's heads spin, both good and bad. And so, but truly, I've had coworkers in the past who've been like, "Oh, should I take this position or not?" And my advice has always been, if it's a better opportunity for you, you go take that opportunity. So Officer King had left us, and we were very lucky to have Officer Sharyar. Again, a highly qualified, high caliber individual who has now also got a better opportunity. And so that is going to hurt, because we were really, truly moving in the right direction. And the evidence of that was people showing up to code enforcement committee meetings. That was amazing to witness and have, and hopefully that will continue. And I know a resident showing up to a code enforcement committee meeting means that the resident is here to complain, but without hearing the complaints, we won't know what we need to be doing to improve. And so, also, you know, as a restaurant manager, if I ever thought somebody left the property without, if I was not, as a manager, able to find out about a complaint, then, you know, that was a serious problem. And so, it's encouraging to see that residents are feeling comfortable enough with the council to come in once again, that their voices are going to be heard, and the complaints are honestly welcome, welcome news, you know. So seeing residents show up to a code enforcement committee meeting, in my opinion, speaks again to the quality of work that Code Enforcement Officer Sharyar was doing. So that is really going to be a challenge as far as finding a quality candidate. And then, as what happened with Officer King, as what happened with Officer Sharyar, retention is something that the council needs to seriously put in focus here, and coming up with a strategy of, as we do replace key personnel, what is the strategy for retention? And so I know it goes to, you know, the budget, which of course does come from, for the personnel, does come directly from the property taxes, from, you know, from the residents' taxes. And so that limitation poses its own challenges in terms of, you know, what have you. But we do have growth, and yes, that's good. But for today, there should still be a long-term plan of a retention strategy for key personnel. In addition to that, we lost a building clerk. And so there was a little bit more drama behind all of that. It might be a greater opportunity than a loss from what it sounds like. But the point being that we did lose a building clerk. And so I just want to have a discussion on the council. I encourage everybody to speak to this, of getting to a place where the turnover should be a bit of a signal here that some things need to be addressed and looked at and understood why. So I would like people to comment, and I will just start off with one question, and that would be for the manager. Are we doing exit interviews with everybody who is leaving?
Before you answer that, I'm gonna go to the manager, and then I'm gonna go to the council if you guys want to say something. Let me just say really quickly, I just want to point out that retention is really a big thing. I think that one of the perfect examples of that is our new hire. You know, Mr. Jean just announced that he was leaving. All Madam Manager had to do was call CAP, and they sent somebody else right over. And that's the reason why I was saying in my State of the Village address, I think instead of looking at individuals, because we don't have the pay, you guys, that can kind of like, you know, combat other municipalities that can pay a lot more. That's one problem, and therefore we don't have the amount of money that they can make to retain them. A lot of times they leave for better jobs, for better pay, and hiring these different organizations, these different companies like CAP, that they take care of it and they just replace, if a person leaves, just replace right away, because Mark Jean, she's leaving for another job at another municipality, and therefore they just replace him right away. So I think that going forward is one of the main things that we should look into for retention, and that's across the board, because even if you think about the building clerk who left, Mr. Garcia, you see we have a new building clerk already through CAP. Right, so I think that's one of the things we really need to focus on and kind of keep in mind. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Madam Manager, and then I'll come back to the council.
Thank you. When I first became village manager, I developed the personnel manual that outlined just what it takes from the first day of hire to your last, day. And so yes, an exit interview is required. Some people don't leave with the exit interview, and that is fine. They refuse it. We put that in the file as well. But yes, those who are presently leaving are doing exit interviews.
No, that's great, because similar to being glad that the residents are coming in with their complaints, right? It may just be as simple as a better opportunity, but even just those components are critical to understand, I think, in terms of how we shape everything from job description to salary schedule to HR issues, all of it. So So I'm glad to hear that it's on the radar and that we're using it. So, and then speaking to is like with CAP being a good example for some aspects of what we're talking about in terms of personnel, right? It won't solve all the problems, but I do actually think it's a good solution. When I was younger, I used to think, it was cutting corners to essentially outsource things, right? But as I got older, I realized, okay, if you can outsource to a specialist, then you're actually gaining a lot of ground. And yeah, so I've definitely come around as I've gotten older to that. So.
And we have a long, successful history with CAP. Anybody from the council?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll chime in on this. I do think that exit interviews are very important to highlight any trends or negative trends that might exist. But very rarely are you going to be able to combat the economics of the situation. And the fact of the matter is there are a lot of positions that are now open and available. And El Portal, when you look at the salary that's being offered, is substantially below market in a lot of these positions. So I do think that taking an innovative look at the situation and probably privatizing certain elements or contracting out certain elements might be a smart way to ensure that the city doesn't continue training these personnel and creating like a really great specialists in these areas and then losing them and having to go through the training process over and over again. So I don't think it fits in every situation, but I do think that the manager is proposing a really great solution by way of utilizing CAP government to provide some of those services for the city. And I do want to assure the residents that in contracting out, you may feel like you're losing that personal element of, Mr. Gene, and you know his face and you see him all the time. But there's a certain level of efficiency that the city will be able to obtain that I think in the long run will leave us feeling more satisfied with the services that we're receiving and end up saving us money. So I do think that the exit interviews are a great route to go, but I also know that in the current environment, El Portal is just not where the rest of Miami-Dade County is as far as salaries are concerned. And that's for most of the positions.
Thank you, Councilperson Martin. Appreciate it. Anybody else from the council?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
To the benefit of the profession, everybody knows I'm a trained city manager. I didn't get training from a little city. I got training from a big city, Dallas, Texas. In that training, as well as grad school, I learned that cities have different positions in government management. Very tiny cities are best training grounds. Let's don't get it twisted, folks. We're never going to be able to do what Dallas, Texas, Miami, Florida, Austin, Texas, the big cities, but we will maintain and be proud that we not only train, we could just remember, students come out of a master's in public administration for the benefit of getting a job. They study everything they can about city management, public management, government management. How do you know, Doc? That's what I graduated. And my focus was on city management, not county. I've been the city manager of 5 major cities, 3 major cities, 2 small cities. It was a great experience. Had it not, however, been for Dallas, Texas being my training ground, I would not know how to manage medium and small cities. We are a small city, a little more than 2,700. We're the perfect training ground, and our manager can prove that. She didn't come in as a city manager. She came in wanting to be the village manager. She trained well. My program was 2 years. It took 2 years to perfect that training. Madam Manager did it on her own with the gumption that she has as a professional and came in here wanting to know how city management works. So let's not forget, we are the perfect training ground for others that want to be city managers. It's not just our city, but they move from our small city to medium-sized cities, from medium-sized cities to large cities. And let me tell you, we've got enough around here that they will see that we do the same thing medium and large cities do. We just do it on a smaller scale. So Madam Manager, I applaud you the contractual effort will not only see people like what we just heard from the building official, you'll be able to see a whole lot more. This contractual thing, perfect, because if we have another bite at this apple, we will ask them to bring their interns in as well. We are a training ground. We are perfect training ground. We've been here since 18 what? Yeah, you all know, a long time. But this is the first time, this generation is the first time we've had the professionalism. I came in here as a council person. Correction, I came in here wanting to be the village clerk. And Joe knows the story, so if you want to know how I was treated, and I'm a professional manager, I came in here to be the village clerk and was uglily denied. I'm on this council again, 20-some years later, because I'm at that stage where I can be here full-time. The children are grown, everything. I'd love to see some interns in here. Take the load off you, they'll learn much. They're eager, they're hungry. They're going for that master's degree. So let's not forget, I have a plus here also. We have a plus here. Not all people who train in city manager become city managers. They become assistant city managers. They become building officials. They just have to do the license. They become other areas, village clerks. Village clerk, did I not encourage you to go and get your certification? That's what we do as a little city. So we are a value. We may not be able to keep up with the Joneses, I agree with you, but we don't have to think that we don't have the capability to make tomorrow's students into leaders in administrative management of cities. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilor Lightfoot Ward. Anybody else from the council?
I just want to add that exactly as Dr. Lightfoot Ward saying, you know, we need to essentially be creative and finding ways that we are more attractive to quality candidates. And so maybe the retention plan is we retain a plan where we have eager, enthusiastic candidates coming through at 2 or 3 year contracts, something like that. And so I just wanted to be on the council's radar in terms of recognizing that we have gone through, it's not just this round of personnel changes. It's been several years, and so I just want that to be on the radar of the council, so we can come up with some creative ideas of how we can create a culture here that makes people think, you know what, maybe I'm not going to have the top salary, but I heard that this is a great place to go and work and get some really great experience. So if we can create that environment, I think that we'll be in good shape for these personnel changes that in one way or another really are inevitable. I mean, personnel changes are something that is a constant. So
yeah, I think we're well on the way. I think we're well on the way. And the first resolution will show that also. So, anybody else from the council?
Just
Yes,
one
of
quick
course,
thing.
of course, Councilman.
I mean, I do love, I love being a training ground, but it does cost money and effort to continue to train. So I think on certain positions, we can head in that direction. But in other more meaty positions, we need to come up with a solution that contemplates minimizing that constant turnover, because it does cost us in the long run. So yeah, definitely for students, but also for innovative solutions like CAP government.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%, Councilperson Martin. Anybody else? All right, Madam Manager, you good? Anything else? You good? Okay. All right. Anybody from the audience? Anybody have anything they want to say? Any comments about this? How are we looking on Zoom? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. All right. Seeing none, moving right on, you guys. We're moving down to resolution I-1. Attorney Geller, if you want to read that into the record for us, please.
Resolution I-1, resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Patel, Florida, authorizing the village to approve and accept the CAP government proposal for additional professional services, including public works, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. I could either go to Manager Alou, or if anybody from the council has any questions, or do you want me to go to her first, or? Manager Alou, I mean, this resolution is pretty straightforward, but is there anything you want to add to it? This kind of addresses what Vice Mayor Urban was talking about.
100%. And it also harkens back to what Vice Mayor Urban was just saying about this has been going on for years. You know, we'd lost our public works and maintenance staffer about 6 months ago, again, to higher salary position elsewhere, and then we've been without. I'm the city manager, and I do public works. I do a bunch of other things as well, but I have been doing so much public works with his departure. The salary is just too low. The way that we can address the services that are needed in this village is through the contract. We can contract out with CAP government. They pay the salaries, they pay the benefits, and we pay the fee to ensure that we have proper and appropriate coverage. These are skilled workers. These people are at a level, they always come in and they do fantastic work for us. So I think that with the Public Works Department services that they're going to provide, that will greatly assist me. And I mean, you know, we talked about just all the funding that we're requesting, but a lot of that, I need technical assistance from engineering. And so, you know, I've been blessed to have the assistance of Craig A. Smith and CAP working on these projects with me, but we need to take it to the next level, which is once we get those monies, it has to be managed. These are reports, these are follow-ups, these are, you know, construction meetings and these kinds of things, and we have to have a public works department. So I'm happy that they're able to provide this at this price. I did meet with our CFO and our attorney as well as the mayor about just what it costs to have a $38,000 position for public works. I mean, there are benefits involved with that, as well as the vehicle and some other expenses that comes out to be almost $60,000 for a $30,000 a year staffer. You may think that that's, you know, that's not that much, but in the end it is. We can use those funds to assist us with paying for this. I think it's more important to get the right personnel in a position to help us with the very substantive things that we need. So this addresses that in this contract. I also have Carlos Panin on Zoom if you all have any questions specific to CAP government. He was not able to join us due to a death in the family, but he wanted to join because he knows, you know, the situation we've been in. And if you have any questions for him or me, please do.
Yeah, well, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Councilperson. Councilperson.
Well, and it's more of a like we spoke about it, Madam Manager, about Exhibit 8 on the maintenance technician. To add, it doesn't say anything about, you know, keeping overseeing the parks and making sure that they're taken care of.
Yes, and
especially now that we're going through a renovation, hopefully, you know.
No, we'll definitely, that would have to be included, and so I will follow up, but I know for tonight's purposes, and just so we can get these people in place, is to make this contract, but in terms of just the specifics, I did provide a job description of what I wanted this person to do, and they would have to do oversight over village properties, including our parks, all 5. So that will be included on this as well. And I'll bring the refined position and description to the Public Works Committee as well as to the council so that you see what it looks like when we actually have the people in place. But for the purpose of what we have tonight is to get these people in place.
Anybody else from the council?
Mr. Manager?
Yes, Councilperson Lightfoot.
I'm reading the letter. I'm recalling the letter, and it says that the village does not benefit from any compensation from the gross. They want the gross, 100% of the gross building permit revenues. So we don't get 1 dime of the building permit revenues? It doesn't seem right. And it says that the public works function be compensated on a fixed monthly fee basis. The building department generated revenues, we can provide additional services, including the scanning of all paper documents and create an additional revenue stream to offset some of the costs of Public Works Department. We estimate that we need to additional $126,000 per year $10,000 a month to support the Public Works Department. And we estimate that the Public Works Department services can be accomplished by part-time Public Works officer engineer. I am very concerned that this is our revenue fund, and our 100% of our revenue fund from gross building permits will not see one dime of it.
Well, by Florida state law, we are not, building department revenue has to be used in the building department only. So we aren't able to utilize those funds except for the maintenance of that department. So
Okay.
this would be.
I understand. I just need the residents to also understand. And when they say 100%, that includes whatever we need too. Is that right, Madam Manager? We need our building painted. That company, CAP, makes sure that our building gets painted. We have problems in our building. Otherwise we have nothing to take care of us. Take care of the village itself. It says all 100% of gross building permit revenues. Didn't say 50%, didn't say 75%. It said 100%. And Madam and Mr. Mayor, you looked at the budget, you saw how much comes in. That's nothing to throw away. I just want to make sure that we're not just forgotten in this whole 100%, because there are times, Madam Manager, if you hadn't told us we had a busted air conditioning system, we wouldn't have known it. We knew how we were going to fix it. But right now, we have no revenue. I appreciate you, Mayor. You said a lot of times in your State of the Village that we wouldn't have to use taxpayers' money. Well, building permit revenues, not necessarily taxpayers' monies. I'm just concerned that light outside needs to be fixed. That flagpole needs to be fixed. But it says 100% goes to GAP, Government Inc. I have a concern. When do we get to finance what's wrong with our village? What's wrong with our infrastructure? Somebody help me, because that's the only part of that really got me into what? So where are we supposed to get the money to fix this when everything in the building department depends on the building stuff in the village? I don't see anything says about, and we will make sure everything in the village is fixed. The village proper assets are taken care of. I don't see anything there.
I can.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No, thank you, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Yeah, I think it's a valid question. So basically what we need to ask, Madam Manager, is of the 100% gross, how does that separate from net, first of all? Yeah.
We never would use infrastructure. We wouldn't use the revenue from the building permit department or building permits for that. That would come from a different revenue source. We have operational accounts. We have, we went through this budget process and budget cycle, and there are different areas from which we take money for repairs and that kind of thing. Building permit fees can only be used in the building department. We can't fix the roof with that or an air condition with that. It's only for the operation of a building department.
Yeah, I think what she's asking is the building permit fees that are going to be brought in by CAP. Is CAP only going to be the one to use them, or can they be used are they going to be used in the building department at the Village of El Portal? I think that's what her basic question is.
Okay. And I know, I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth with text messaging with Mr. Carlos Panini. Are you all able to bring him on, Dwight? Thank you.
While we're bringing him on, another thing to quickly point out, Madam Manager, is that you and I have been working for these funds to tie them into some of the money we're getting from an outside source also.
Absolutely.
So these monies, so the way we're doing it, you guys, is that, and we're pretty much there, is that these monies wouldn't be used, like these payments wouldn't be used from taxpayer dollars. It'd be used from some of the funding that we're bringing in that could be used for building department and building services and things like that. So.
Good evening. It's Carlos Panin. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Ms. Panini, were you able to hear the last 5 minutes of the questions and answers that were going on?
Yes, Mayor.
so do you have a response? Just to kind of like, recalculate it. So if you look in the, I mean, you might not have it in front of you, but in the second paragraph of the proposal, it says that we propose the building department services be compensated at 100% of gross building permit revenues, while public works department functions be compensated only at a fixed monthly fee basis. The question was that the first part of that sentence, we propose that building department services be compensated at 100% of gross building permit revenues. We were kind of asking that 100% that will be coming out of the gross building permit revenues, is that money coming out and leaving the village of El Portal? Or is that just building revenues for all building services of El Portal?
Thank you for your question. The revenues that are collected from the building department are different than those revenues that would be used, for example, painting the building. Those come out of a capital fund that the village would still have. If a applicant comes in and pays a building permit fee for a particular project, that we will then do 100% of the review, 100% of the inspections. And we are moving, as the manager very well pointed out, into electronic plan review. We're moving into trying to do more of the inspections remotely. So all of that is a cost to us that is not at all that is picked up from 100% of the building permit fees. So anything else that goes on there is paid from individual budgets and not from the building department. I'm not sure if I explained myself.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, let me just say really quickly. In the third paragraph, it says by capturing 100% of these building department generated revenues, you all can provide some additional services, including the scanning of all paper documents, because we do want to go digital, and create an additional revenue stream to offset some of the public works department costs. So I think that's kind of like falls into line to like kind of like where you were going with your last answer. I'm going to turn it over to Vice Mayor Urban, unless Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, you have a response? Or let me go to Councilperson Lightfoot Ward first, Vice Mayor, and then I'll come to you.
All right. Good evening, Mr.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward first, and then I'll come to you.
That's fine.
Then I'll come to you. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I heard, what's the gentleman's name?
Carlos Penin.
But Mr. Benin, I heard you.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't understand it. I heard you. I didn't understand what you were saying. You did not answer my question. I know right now, the building permit, the building revenues have benefited us. Yes or no, manager? It's benefited the village.
In the building department.
Has
It goes to
benefit-
paying for things that are associated with building, because it can only be used for that. So yes, the building department, but it doesn't benefit us with capital improvements, repairs, or salaries.
It just paid the salary of the
Salary
person?
only.
That's all our building permits did, was pay the salary of the
Yes.
person?
Yes. And
That's
some
it?
copying and, yes.
That is the first time I've ever heard that, and I just told you my background. That's the first time I've ever heard that, but that's not for us right now. Mayor, I'm at a quandary,
Understood, Councilperson Lightfoot.
and I yield.
Thank you. Understood, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Vice Mayor Urban.
Good evening, Mr. Penin. How you doing?
Excellent. Thank you very much for asking.
Very good. Okay. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to bring clarity. So as we've been operating, all revenues generated by the building department are to be used in the building department. So I think the question is, assuming that there would be a year where the revenues generated by the building department would be in excess of the costs incurred by the building department, the idea would be that there might be what you might call a building department reserve left over that could possibly be used to bolster something like IT or this, I think that's what we're speaking to with the scanning of documents here. So I think the question becomes, in the event that the building department generates more revenue than the cost of cap government doing business, what occurs with those overages? is there a reserve held for El Portal to use within its building department, or is that considered simply profit for cap government? I believe Dr. Life Award will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what we're getting at with the question here of what occurs if with the excesses of those building department revenues, should there be any?
Let me try to answer that. The building department, the additional revenues to come into a building department is because there's additional building activity. I think that we can all agree that. So a larger project, a 4-story building or something like that would come in, that would generate additional monies into, because they will pay more fees into the building department. But what happens, that project will go over a 1-year construction, maybe a 1.5-year construction period. And we do not charge any more money than that building permit fee when it comes in the door on day one. When that permit is issued and they have paid 100% of the building permit fee, that's it. That's all we get. So it's up to us. The risk is on our side to balance everything else over that 1-year period, because we're not going to make another penny out of that. So we need to balance it. So when you see maybe that there will be 1 month when, I mean, and I'm making this thing up, let's say $50,000 or $100,000 comes in because of that one large project, we have to make sure that we have enough money at the end, because it's our responsibility to continue to do plans review and inspections until that CO is issued and that project ends there. So, I mean, we could have a windfall, but we would not necessarily spend it on something else. Now, what we have committed to is to upgrade the software at our cost. There is a budget in the proposal for scanning, and we are also, as you saw, Mr. Vice Mayor, we're also covering part of the. I mean, we've also submitted a proposal to do public works with a part-time position and a full-time position. That's the entire package that we submitted to the manager.
Okay, so I think one of the concerns is that as El Portal is experiencing growth, and then especially as we have septic to sewer on the horizon for a commercial corridor, the concern is that at the moment where we may be able to generate the type of revenues from the building department that would allow us to do like a capital improvement to the building department itself, that we would be at that same moment losing that opportunity. And so I think the concern is that that in the event that the risk that you take pays off, that we would then be missing a significant opportunity to do something like a capital improvement project within the building department. Dr. Life Award will correct me if I'm off base on the question here, but I believe that's what we're trying to get at.
You're close. I mean, I don't care how you do it. I don't care how you see it. This is a lucrative contract. It is a very lucrative contract. At some point or another, we need to be able to, for the mayor's state of the address, State of the Union address, to say that we benefited from the project of a vendor working with us, and from that we were able to also get back a percentage. I didn't say what the percentage was, because they're doing business exclusively with our people in our village. This is just, I've seen better. I've seen where these kinds of arrangements says at the point of XYZ occurring, the village was able to regain or was provided with X number of dollars. What I'm seeing right now is simply, hey, we've taken over everything and the rest is y'all problem. And I don't think that's fair. We didn't even, I don't even see where this was bidded. I see Cap Government Inc. I don't see anything else. So we allow this right now. What's in it for us besides they're taking over a staff position? A staff position, is that am I giving it the simplicity that it needs? We're giving up a staff position and that's it. We gave away the barn and we have no way of bringing it back. And I don't even remember this being a bid type of thing. It's just Cap Government Inc. I'm not even making fun of the company. I'm just saying, what is it for the villager? Came in here, wanted to do some improvement, took out the permit, got the stuff done, everybody's happy, but the village did not benefit at all. Are we really looking at this holistically, or are we looking at it for convenience? I think we should, this is our village, we should gain something from it financially.
Yeah. Again, building permit fees are I mean, I hear what you're saying, Dr. Lightfoot Ward, and yes, we always want to do the best or pursue the best opportunity for the village. But again, when we are constricted as to the use of these fees, then, and also we're presented with an opportunity to offset the gain for the Public Works Department, then I think that is a good opportunity for us. I wish I had our CFO on with us tonight, because he too reviewed the contract with me and with CAP, and we reviewed. CAP Government is already our building official and our contractor for building, the building department. We did have one staffer, but the building official, the inspectors, all of that is provided through CAP. Anyway, we already have a contract with CAP that was actually renewed for a number of years. I think it was 2 years ago. So we have a contract with them. And I didn't put this out to bid because we already have a relationship with them, a contractual relationship with them for the building department. So if there are any other questions you may have, maybe this can assist a little bit, but I'm willing to take them, and I'm sure Mr. Panini will too.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. If I may, any legal advice, is there attorney as far as this contract goes? And because it is true, we have no saying of what we can actually, get from all the building permits and everything that's been working on for the last few months. And now that we just raised the fees and all of that, we were happy to find out that we will be able to, like it says over here, they're planning to do, which is to digitalize the paperwork and all of that, but it's,
Councilperson, I reviewed the proposal. It's financial principally in nature, so I don't really look at the finances. That's the manager and the CFO. There's nothing illegal or improper in the contract. You have an existing relationship with CAP, so the idea that you would choose to extend the relationship you have with CAP is at your discretion. Now, you're obviously not obligated to proceed with their proposal, to accept it. You can reject it. You can accept it. You could try to negotiate it further. But principally, the concerns that are raised by Councilperson Dr. Lightfoot Ward are financial concerns. And, I'm not a financial analyst. There's nothing improper with this contract, but it is completely committed to the sound discretion of the council as far as its financial terms. I'm happy to answer any particular questions anyone has, but it's in proper form. You have to decide whether you think the numbers are the right numbers and work for the needs of the council, and I defer to the manager and her staff as to that issue.
I think it would be helpful to move the conversation along if the CFO was here, but if the manager can give us any guidance on historically how much we have as a village collected in building permit fees, that would be helpful, or maybe just what we did last year.
Well, I'll have to pull up the budget, but I also, what I did pull up was the Florida statute 553.80 that states that all fees, so as we've done anyway, in years prior and even now, we're required to utilize all building permit fees within the building permitting or building department operations. I will have to pull the budget for you. One moment, Councilperson Martin. But if anyone else has any questions while I'm doing that, please do.
I have one technical question. So just reading in this, I'm not sure anyone can answer, manager, attorney, Mr. Panine, but it references the existing contract dated back to 2019. And so my question is there a defined end date or period of renegotiation or readdress on this contract, or is this considered to be in contract until it would be decided to be out of contract?
Without the 2019 contract in front of me, I can't answer that definitively, but this proposal is not for a finite period of time. I would say that without specifying a finite period of time, it's basically an at-will contract between two contracting parties. There are no provisions that prevent the council from canceling it. So it would be in the absence of some provision. Again, I'd need to see the prior one. And if there is something in there, since this is incorporating that, that would possibly change my answer. But otherwise, it's a contract that appears from this proposal to continue for as long as the two parties wish to continue their business relationship. It would be the same as if you were purchasing goods and services from anyone under any circumstances. As long as both parties are willing and agree on the terms, you can continue indefinitely. And if one chooses not to, then you can stop contracting. Again, I'd have to look at the prior one to make sure that there's nothing in that one. But based on what I reviewed and what's in front of me, there's no provision that limits cancellation or requires continuation or anything like that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, let me add something to that, if I may. The original contract was the one that the village attorney was referring to was dated 2019, and it was a 3-year contract, and it gives the village the option to let me see, I'm scrolling down now as we speak. The village has the right to extend the contract for one additional 3-year term. So it's specified in page 3 of 10 of the original contract. And this is an amendment, if you would, and then additional services to that contract. So it does have an end date, and there's plenty of flexibility in there. Look, we've not ever been kicked out of a city. I think we've been working in this space for 32 years, which is when I started the company. We are focused on municipality and municipal services. We're focused on building department outsourcing and anything that has to do with this type of work. The ability of our company to be able to lose an employee as we did with Margine, and be able to come back and be able to find somebody as capable as Pedro Martinez is one of the reasons that we are working in multiple cities, and we've been, like I said, in business for 32 years. And then the other thing that I might add is that, for example, City of Aventura, we've been working with them continuously since 1995. We've been in Weston for over 15 years, and Cutler Bay, the same thing, and a number of municipalities, the same thing. So, but to answer the question regarding the terms, That's in page 10, I'm sorry, page 3 of our agreement.
Okay, yeah.
Let me add,
Go
based
ahead.
on what Mr. Panina
Sure.
said. I'll note that he's referencing contract adopted in 2019, and that was during a period when I was not with the village. So
Yeah.
that's why I
Right.
didn't see it and don't recall it. But based on what he said, and I certainly have no reason to question what Mr. Panine says, if it's a 3-year contract that 2 years of which have run, then the contract has 1 year to run from now. And apparently it has an option with the village to renew for, as Mr. Panine said, 1 additional 3-year period. Obviously, before a contract is signed, I would always verify that, but I certainly have no reason to question Mr. Panine's word. I've known the gentleman for a long time. So I would say to you that whatever you adopt is an amendment to that contract. You're entitled to amend your contract. You're entitled to contract for some additional services if the terms are acceptable to the village. That's, again, the sound discretion of council. If adopted with an amendment, then it runs apparently for 1 more year, at which point the village has a decision to make about whether or not to exercise its option. I presume there are some terms in there. You have to give 60, 90 days notice or something like that if you intend to exercise the option. Any contract can be renegotiated between willing parties at any time unless there's something that prohibits it, which I doubt there is. So
Okay.
it's legal for you to do so, and the advisability is committed to the sound discretion of the village council, based on the finances as they appear to you.
Mr. Geller, I think it is a 90-day out. There's a shorter term if it's for cause. And like I said, we've never been under those circumstances, thank God.
Okay. Mr. Panina, I certainly take your word for it. As I said, it came during a time when I wasn't here, so I've never looked at the contract, but typically there would be, how to exercise the option. It's not surprising that there is a cancellation provision if either side is unhappy with the terms. Typically, there would be one, as Mr. Panine pointed out, there'd be one set of cancellation provisions if it was because of cause. Generally, there is an opt-out provision under other terms which don't include cause. That's just unilateral dissatisfaction. This should all be specified in the contract we have. The amendment essentially is additional financial terms in exchange for additional services to be performed. So again,
Okay.
sound discretion of council.
Yeah, it's 10 days with cause and 90 days without. And those are very, very basic terms and conditions that are very standard, as you very well pointed out, Mr. Geller.
Okay, very good. Yeah, Mr.
Mr.
Panine,
Mayor, point of order.
I don't think that,
Point of order.
Yeah, Councilperson
This
Martinez.
is going too long. 69,000, I'm looking at the final second budget hearing agenda. We budgeted tentatively for FY 2021, 69,000. Yet we projected 115,456. If 69,000 is what we adopted, which it is, and I'm thinking 69,000 building fees. All I'm saying is, what do we, when I hear revenues coming in, that says to me we got money in the bank. That's what it says to me, revenues coming in. If the tentative proposal for revenues, that's what I'm looking at, the revenue side. It's, pardon me, the revenue side. The total revenue on that,
213,000.
let's just call it a draw. If at some point we figure out that we just went in a deal that we didn't have a full understanding of, we got to look at this again, and I'm talking 6 months. Because this doesn't seem, something's not right with this. There's a bug in the water and I can't figure it out because at 100%, we just sold the city. To me, you give away 100% of your revenue, you just sold the city.
Let me ask a question. Mr. Panin, it's Darian Martin. Thank you for joining us tonight. Do you have any contracts with municipalities that envision capturing less than 100% of the building permit fees?
Yes,
Do you
ma'am,
know
we
that
do.
off the top of your head?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
It is commensurate with the services that we provide, ma'am.
Okay.
Just to finish my, Mr. Benin, it's Vice Mayor Irvam again. Just to finish and come to the conclusion of my final question, and it follows right behind Councilperson Martin's question, and that is, do you have any contracts with other municipalities that do have 100% gross in a contract?
Yes, Vice Mayor, we do.
Okay. And then I just want to be clear that, sorry, I can't stand when people say that, but I do want to be clear, but truly, the question of the competency or the level of service is not even remotely at question right now. It's simply a matter of the fairness of the financial side of this. So this actually, Madam Manager, speaks to I forgot to mention CFO in my comments about the personnel issues. So regardless of whether this passes tonight or not, I think it's clear that we need CFO Wallace, interim CFO Wallace, to be able to address this specifically at the next Admin and Finance Council meeting, so that the council can have more clarity on what this is. And then Mr. Panin and Attorney Geller, sorry to interrupt the sidebar, but so this has a date, the original contract date of March 27th, 2019, as outlined in this document. So that would put 90 days as December 27th. So in theory, this council has until December 27th to analyze whether or not we're in an equitable agreement, as essentially that would be the end of our review period to announce whether or not we intended to renew the contract for another 30-year period. Is that correct? Three, I said three, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have my
Yeah.
mic on. Well, I'm
The
not aware of
original-
anything. Go ahead, Mr. Panini.
Sorry, Attorney Geller. The
Mr.
original contract was March 27th of 2019.
Yes.
Yeah.
2019.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's correct.
Let me say this. I'm not aware of anything that would give rise to a cancellation for cause. Okay, if there is something, it certainly has not been presented to me. So
But if we're adding this topic tonight as an amendment to that contract, and we see by December 27th of this year, 90 days from the end of the contract, the 3-year term, if we see by then that this is going in the wrong direction for the village, then we would have cause to at least renege on that amendment, or otherwise adjust the contract. Is that a deadline for us in terms of
Not
accomplishing
really.
it? Okay.
I mean, let me say, if tonight, for some reason, you wanted to terminate the existing contract, you could give 90 days notice. I understand. Again, I have no reason to question Mr. Panini's in this business for a long time.
Right.
But I don't give opinions on contracts that I haven't read.
Right, gotcha.
That's a bad practice. So I
Okay.
try not to do that.
Okay.
But if, and it's got to be an if. Again, I'm not questioning this gentleman's word, but if you have a contract with a 90-day cancellation clause, you can exercise that clause basically at any time. Now, if you're, as I understand, you're in the last, 4 or 5 months of a 3-year contract,
Right.
that's when the contract expires. It would seem that in order to renew the contract, you have to give some kind of notice prior to the end of the contract that you're exercising your option. I'm not positive what that provision is, but it's certainly waivable by CAP. If you have to give 90 days notice to CAP, they're entitled to say, if you don't tell us, the contract is over, but they're equally entitled to say, you only gave us 85 days notice, but we're going to waive that. We want to keep doing business with you. That's their choice if we don't timely exercise our notice of option. Now, if you amend the contract, which is the other question, you have one contract, okay? This is not a separate contract. It's not a different contract. If you amend your contract, which is what this proposal is to do, you can't then say, oh, well, we want to go back to the old contract. We don't want the amended part, because you have one contract. If it's amended, then the contract as amended is your contract. And you could exercise your option to renew it under any set of circumstances in accordance with the contract. Again, I don't know if it's 90 days in advance, but as you point out, if it is, that's coming up probably before this contract more or less even takes effect. But if you continue with a contract and you've only exercised your option to renew it, then again, subject to my actually reading the terms of it, which always ask your lawyer to read the contract before he gives you an opinion. But there's nothing about exercising the option, at least that I'm aware of, not having read it, that takes away your right to cancel on 90 days notice. So if you have to renew it 90 days before it expires, or 60 days, or whatever the renewal is, if you've amended it, if you've exercised the option, if you go 60 days into the new 3-year contract, and my understanding is it is just a single 3-year option. But again, contracting parties in agreement can enter into a new contract called a novation, can amend their existing contract. Again, it's a matter of both parties agree. If the contract as amended or even not as amended, if you exercise the option, you could go 60 days, 90 days, 120 days into the new contract. If you don't like what's going on, you have an option. I don't want to use that word so it's confusing. You have one option. You have the right to say this contract is being canceled on 90 days notice, because that's a decision the town has made, and that it can happen when you're in the new contract. So it's not a deadline. If you've got if you have a contract that says you have the right to cancel for no reason on 90 days notice, amending it or exercising your option would not, if that's the exact language, would not take away your right to cancel on 90 days notice at any time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Councilperson Martin.
I think we might have just fallen down a cancellation rabbit hole.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not sure, I'm not saying that this is a bad contract. I'm just saying that we don't have enough information to determine how good of a contract it is. I know that it contemplates some public works help, some building department work, modernizing the building department. I think it's going to be great for improving the level of service we can provide. All of those things are good. I think some of us on the dais would just really like some hard numbers to look at, and the reassurance that that 100% number has been negotiated down to the point where it not only makes sense for government, but it makes sense for El Portal as well. So maybe a reasonable course of action would be to just express those concerns to the manager and have her try to go back to the table and have Cap government sharpen their pencil and come up with another proposal and maybe some of the auxiliary information and present it to us. And maybe at that point, we will be in a better position to move forward with this one. But I kind of feel like we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah. Agree, Councilperson Martin. All right, you guys, so there's two options here, and before I ask for the options, is there anybody from the audience or anybody on Zoom that wants to say anything about this? We're good? Yes, come on up, say your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Good evening. Okay, my name is Dwight Garman, 41588 Terrace. I came in a little late, but I heard something that kind of, you said it was 100%. My question is, how many contracts you have the like is the same size as like like this particular village that's actually paying out 100%. That's for my question.
Ms. Panine?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I know that we have two municipalities in Broward County that where we have a similar contract. But I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you.
Yes, so right now, so this is I think one of the things, 'cause I think I know what's gonna happen right now. So we have two options, right? So we have one option where we could motion second and vote on accepting the contract. We have another option where we could motion second, vote on tabling the contract until we get more information. I think a couple of things. I think first of all, I think the first question that is really heavy on the council is why 100% for El Portal? What differentiates El Portal from the other municipalities where you don't have 100% coming out? What are the reasons or what are the details for that?
If that's a question for me, is that we've included a number of items in there that we would not normally include, and that's
so is that 100% because of the technology aspect and the offset of the public works?
Yes, sir. That is exactly right.
Okay, so that 100% is because of the technology aspect of going through the digitization of the documents, which is needed because we have our documents in blue storage right now, and we've had a couple of occasions where they've gotten ruined, and as a government entity, we can't be having those documents get ruined. And the second aspect is the aspect of adding the public works services to that. I'm going to turn it over to Madam Manager right now. The only thing, and I understand exactly what the council's saying. I don't necessarily disagree with the council, but if we're going to move on this, so we need to move on this and figure out what we're going to do, more sooner than later. I will point out that right now, not having a public works department individual, not having a public works engineer is hurting us. Just yesterday, because we didn't have a public works engineer to help out with the doing public works engineering work to apply for funding, we missed out on permeable pavements that we could put permeable material for permeable pavements and stuff like that. If we could put throughout the village, we missed out on that yesterday because we do need a public works engineer to help out with like those type of things.
Can we? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Councilperson
Mr. Mayor,
Martin.
can I think if we got just like the quick look at what are the building permit fees in total that we are getting, and maybe add just a rough number onto some of those things. Public Works is costing us X amount. Having a building official's salary was this amount, and then we can look at the actual numbers of the thing and say, hey, this is a reasonable amount to pay or forego for what we're receiving.
Can I also, please, sadly, my computer is not connecting and I cannot pull up the contract or anything, but thank you very much for providing me with the budget document. So our projected to the year end for the last fiscal year was $173,000 for the building permit fees, but our expenses were the $69,000. In this instance, I don't have the contract in front of me, but I am asking if Mr. Panine does. How much of the building permit, what's the percentage you take presently without the amendment that we're talking about tonight?
Give me a second to look at that.
Mayor, while he's looking, the revenues for the building department were $213,609 per permit. That was projected revenues for the building department fund. Therein is my problem.
Well, that's proposed for this
I know,
fiscal
but we
year,
adopted it.
it's 173,000 was what
Okay.
we earned last year.
Final second budget hearing agenda on 2020-10, 9/23/2010, 2021, okay? That's what I'm looking at. That was projected building department fund. I understand that was a projection, but that's a lot of money. While the expenditures were only 69,000 projected. And then that's why I'm having this trepidation.
Yeah.
We're getting that kind of money in and we get nothing to say, hey, we made a good deal. To just
Manager.
turn the whole 100% over. This is a big
sorry.
company, not a little village with one person trying to do everything. I understand that, but it just, something's not right about this and I don't have enough time and we don't have enough time tonight to reconcile this.
Right, and with this amendment, we got to calculate the Public Works Department costs as well, because that's what part of this is addressing too. So, no, I agree.
So that being said, you guys, do I have a motion to table for further information for
Yes.
future? Oh, yeah, come up, say your name and address for the record.
Juliana Collinger, 8650 Northeast Miami Court. Real quick about the public works, when they're talking about the 100% fees, if somebody's asking for a permit and has to, you normally pay through El Portal, would that mean that they would have to pay directly to the company, or it goes through El Portal?
Go through El Patel.
Okay, it will go through El Portal and then, okay. The next question is, would this in some way increase any permits in the future? Did I miss that part maybe? Or-
No, we have our set permit fee schedule. We updated it a few months ago.
Yeah, it
and
was,
that's-
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's it, what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Very good questions.
Thank you. Anybody else, anybody on Zoom, anybody in the audience? No, we're good. All right, you guys, so what motion, I'm gonna ask for a motion. We get a motion to accept, or we can motion to table to get further information. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second?
I would look for a commitment from the manager that the CFO, interim CFO Wallace, will be at the admin and finance committee meeting in, what is it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, second week of
If we have a commitment
November.
to that effect, then that would potentially affect my vote.
Well, I will certainly do my best to get him there, because I do want to resolve it, but I understand your concern, so
But
I'll ask him to
can
be
you,
there.
on his behalf, commit that he is going to be there and prepared to address this topic specifically
I
at the
will
admin and finance? I mean,
prepare as best I
I know
can.
he's tried to be at a lot of meetings in the past, but I mean, we need to know that this is going to, that's our only opportunity.
I understand.
Is that November committee meeting to address this.
And you have my commitment to continue to work with the manager to come up with the best equitable deal for both my company and the village. This is a partnership. It's nothing more than that. It's a partnership.
Yeah, Mr. Pinine, I certainly have no doubt about your commitment. My concern lies with our interim CFO, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I
Council.
move the table.
Got a motion to table. Do I have a second to table?
I second it.
Motion made by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second made by Councilperson Martin. Let's do a roll call for table, Madam Clerk.
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella. Yes. Vice Mayor Urbom.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Moving right on, Resolution I-2, Attorney Geller, as soon as you get back, you're up for I-2 Resolution, Craig Smith and Associates Renovation Parks Proposal.
I-2, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, authorizing the village to approve and accept the Craig A. Smith and Associates Parks renovation proposal, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you. We've been over this before, you guys, but I'm going to go to the manager, and then I'm going to go to Councilperson Perella, because I know Councilperson Perella from last time was involved in this. Manager, start it off, or do you want me to start with Councilperson Perella? Either way.
Either one. What is your preference?
Councilperson Perella, if you want to jump in first.
I'll let you, or you want me to
Go
go?
ahead,
Okay, I'll just say that we, in the, we have been planning these parks renovations for a little bit over a year now, and moving quite quickly in terms of just getting all of our items checked off the list. We're now at the point where we need a little more assistance, and we need to get these parks, the architectural or landscaping designs completed. I've enlisted Craig A. Smith and Associates to just do project management in this respect for us, and then they have assisted on lots of civil engineering items, and they do have a contractor that they work with who does the landscaping, architecture, and engineering. So we brought this to the council last month. It was tabled because there were some questions from the members of the council. I did meet with each member of the council about their concerns, but more specifically with Councilperson Perella, who had a little more detail. We met, we did meet on Friday, I believe it was, Thursday or Friday we met, and I believe we came up with a good discussion. I mean, we got some things answered, and from there, I will let Councilperson Perella take the mic.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes, well, yeah, like the manager said, we actually revised the whole scope of work, cast, was able to actually capture a little bit more of what was needed for the parks and the renovations with the designer, and scope of work being described by the master plan from the Miami park and renovation team. So, we ironed some things out, and, we're more clear about what was needed for the park. So I think we came, it was a good discussion, and I'm very pleased with what came up out of it. So we got some, I don't know if you guys got it on the package. I think we got the wrong, right?
Well, we haven't issued
wrong,
this one yet because it wasn't advertised,
wasn't
since we
added
just
to
got
the-
it today.
right. So essentially went almost $10,000 down from what it originally was presented, without sacrificing actually any design elements or anything. So we have Mr. Orlando Rubio here from CAST, if you guys have any questions or anything. But so far as
Mr. Mayor,
So far, so good.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you, Councilperson Perella. Councilperson Life Award.
I appreciate Councilman Perella acknowledging, saying the last time we looked at it, it was like 75,845.
Right.
What is it now? I don't see that.
Right now, it's $65,665.
So, Mayor, you made the right decision.
Yes.
Let them powwow a little bit, and that's commendable.
Absolutely.
Very
Thank you very much, Councilperson Life Award. Thank you. Anybody else from the council? Questions or comments? We good? We had this last month also. Anybody from the audience? All right, you guys, looking good, looking good. I want to see construction all over the place. I told the manager, I tell her all the time. I said, manager, I said, I'll be in like my perfect dream state when I'm able to drive around the village or walk around the village, and almost every other corner I turn, there's construction going on, except the sewer, flood mitigation, park renovation. Like, I just want things to be done in the village, so that it can set us up for the future and for our future generations when it comes to infrastructure. All right, that being said, there's no question. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, Mayor. I don't see in the packet the number that.
You're talking about the new proposal.
The new proposal, and I'd rather Councilman Perella make the motion based on the agreement that you all came up with, as opposed to just saying amen to the resolution as And did you read it, Joe? Did you get a chance to read? Okay,
Yeah, he read
I
the
read the
resolution.
resolution.
Mhm.
right,
There's a new proposal,
yes.
but I understand the only thing changed basically was
The cost.
the
The cost.
cost and
Everything else is
what's
the same
being
in the
provided in
resolution.
exchange for the
Okay.
cost. There's a couple of things that they took out. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
All I'm concerned with is we get that correct dollar amount and not just reading this. We want to read it from the correct dollar amount.
No, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, we do that frequently. Attorney Geller will tell you we can because the resolution is accepting the agreement between, and if we know the cost amount, can get written in there later. But we accept the agreement is what this resolution is all about. It's about accepting the agreement. That being said, Councilperson Perella, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept the contract agreement, right?
Yeah, proposal.
The
Yes.
proposal from Craig A. Smith for the new amount of $65,665, right?
Yes, thank you very much,
the
Councilperson.
revised proposal.
The
for
revised
this.
proposal, yes.
And so, Mr. Mayor, before we actually get your second in there, because I'm going to well, let me do this. I'm second with the preface that it aligns the resolution based on the new amount,
Yeah, proposal amount, absolutely.
so
yes.
that Mr. Smith and company will not say, hey, what did you all do? It's on record.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Got a motion, got a second. No further discussion? You guys good? Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Perella.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Erbaum.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Perfect. Thank you very much, you guys. Moving on, we wanted to committee reports, mayor manager committee. Well, we don't even do committee reports anymore. Mayor manager reports and attorney reports. Madam Manager, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Nickerson and council. I provided the manager's report to the council today, as well as posted it on the village website. This month has been a whirlwind. We have been so overwhelmed with activity in terms of, in terms of the HR and staffing, and trying to find suitable and appropriate staffing for the department heads who will be leaving at the end of this month and into next month. But that said, we will survive. We always do. We managed to find fantastic staff members, and we're going to find some more, and we're going to continue to do good work and to be proactive and technologically advanced as we have committed to doing. Just updates about the report is pretty long, but I will just, for the residents to know about the bridge on North Miami Avenue. I've made several inquiries of the county. It's a county project. It's not an El Portal project, but the project is a Miami-Dade County project, and they're awaiting permits based on a revised plan due to the banks are in disrepair, and they need certain permitting, and so we're still awaiting that construction finalization. But I just want you all to be aware that we are on it. The residents are on it as well, in terms of just asking what's happening with that bridge and why is it holding up morning traffic and evening traffic every day. But the county, they respond to us when they tell us that it's still awaiting permitting. Our parks renovation project, it continues, and with tonight's passage, we will then be meeting with Craig A. Smith to start devising some designs and working with Public Works Committee to get that underway. That's a very exciting opportunity for us, because like Mayor Nickerson says, we want to see things happening, and things are really happening. And speaking of that, the transportation circular, the electric vehicle, still on order, but it's coming any day now. I've already seen or proofed the way it's going to look, and we don't have many options in it, the appearance, but we know it's coming. The contractor is Freebie, and they will be installing an electrical charging station here at the Village Hall in the very last parking space here next to the tot lot. That charging station will be available to anyone else with an electric vehicle. It really does lend to the village being green and really pursuing our, resiliency and sustainability. But we're excited to get that project off the ground, and we're just awaiting the vehicle. So we hope to see that very soon. We're also happy to see a lot of the old police cars have been removed and more are on the way. Our Lieutenant Mendez has been coordinating with Enterprise and other entities to get those vehicles off the lot so that we can then, make room for our new fleet. We're expecting that any day now, but we all know that based on supply chain demands and vehicles shortages at this point, we don't expect anything until after the holidays, but fingers crossed. It would be lovely to have new police staff and in new cars and a new code enforcement car coming into the early 2022. The sanctuary project, they continue to update us that they are still waiting for certain mitigation, mold mitigation, and they're trying to dry out the property, but they are still underway. I've been in touch with the Cavista developers, and they too are making tremendous strides, and they expect to start development in early 2022. So that's going to be a fantastic project. Finally, we'll see some good things. Also on the annexed area, the skate park is delayed in its opening, but we're expecting an opening before the holidays this year. So we're hoping for November to see some movement over on our annexed area. And as we stated before, we're expecting to hire 3 police officers very soon. Chief Magnuson and Lieutenant Mendez have been fielding resumes. Again, we like to hire good people because our residents deserve it. And so they are vetting and recruiting and really working to get us the best of the best. Our police department's also been working with the construction project, just ensuring the maintenance of traffic to keep El Portal safe, because with construction, there will be some concerns and issues, and we apologize for any inconvenience, but progress sometimes has a little bit of inconvenience. We hope that you'll be really happy with the end result, though. I think you will be, and I think the rest of the village will be very jealous with the El Jardín project, but we'll go into the next phase as funds become available for that as well. Code Enforcement Officer Shariar has determined to move on to a higher paying position with Fort Lauderdale Code Enforcement, and we wish her the best. But before she left, we did upgrade our software for code enforcement. And part of that software upgrade is that we will now have online capabilities for residents to report code violations that they may witness. So that's a technological advance. We would just have to monitor those reports, but that helps us in maintaining. And our police officers are also going to be stepping in, as they always do, to ensure some adequate code enforcement until we identify a good candidate. Let's see. I mean, so many things are happening. Mayor Nickerson and I have been meeting with Mayor Cava and many department heads at Miami-Dade County to kind of push a partnership. I shouldn't say push it, but just to work together on something.
And she gave us her entire staff.
Entire department staff, department heads.
She gave us all of her department heads, all of them, and was telling the department heads, like, this one does this, make sure they do this for you.
Right.
This one does that, make sure they do that for you. This one,
yeah,
all based on relationships.
Relationships.
When we first came on, she said, Mayor, she said, I consider you a friend, Mayor.
Yeah.
And then that's what she was saying. She
And
said, so whatever
she-
you guys need, all of her department heads, you guys, all of them at our disposal.
And they have been following up. In fact, we've had 2 meetings now, and we are scheduled for a third one on Thursday. So we are meeting with their department heads, with the leadership at the county in economic development, water and sewer, um, even the community action director, to see how we can work together to breathe some kind of energy and create our business corridor, Northeast Second Avenue. Also, the walkability. There's a pedestrian first program that we're really pursuing with her that will help us with sidewalks. And again, Northeast Second Avenue, making that more of a main street for the village of El Portal.
Yeah, Madam Manager, everything. I mean, we were meeting with department heads that were talking about elderly services and helping to pay for bills, helping to pay for electricity, all type. Every department head she has, every department head at the county, she put in our disposal. Every department head, and told them in front of our face, like whatever they need, like this person does this, make sure they do something for this person does that, make sure they do something for you. She really hooked us up.
She did.
Yeah,
And so we're going to take advantage of it. And so we've jumped on the opportunity to work with them. So there are a myriad of things I continue to do and work with the residents as well as members of the council. If there are any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I've been calling on Fridays, but I think I've talked to some of you. I'm going to start calling on Mondays before council meetings and committee meetings just to assist and answer any questions so we can get some of this done before we get to this body. It would help, you and the residents as well. So I'm here working with you and just a phone call away or an email away. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Madam Manager. I spoke so much in the State of the Village, you guys. I want to save my report for next time, and I'll just sum it all up. I said that last time, so I'll sum up all those months next time, right before we go off for our Thanksgiving break. All right, so moving right along, Attorney Geller.
Very briefly, a little while back, we settled with somebody who we had liens against. It took us a little time to get the money collected, but the money's come in, $35,000. We've received the funds. And hopefully we can do more of those. If you give somebody a break and knock down what they owe you, they'll write you a check. So that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Madam Manager or any questions for Attorney Geller or myself? You guys good? Thank you very much. Moving right on, you guys. Good and welfare. This is a time right here where if anybody from the audience, anybody on Zoom, if you guys have any questions or comments, anything you want to say, you can come up. You have 3 minutes. Name and address for the record, and the floor is yours. Come on up, my brother. Former councilperson Aubrey Brunson. I did shout you out in my State of the Village. I did definitely do that. Name and address, and the floor is yours, Mr. Brunson.
Good evening to all. Aubrey L. Brunson, Senior, 70 Northwest 87th Street. Lovely El Patel, as you know. I want to give shout outs to my mayor, vice mayor, councilperson of the ward, and the rest that I don't know you by face. I understand the job. I understand how tedious and how hard it could be. To my famous clerk person right here and my manager and attorney, I feel like at home. I just want to say, the job that you're doing, I've been there. It's tough making a decision. I was so happy to hear that you tabled this decision, a little earlier, because there's some things you have to work out in that. When I saw the picture, you're asking about the 100% and stuff, and I know they provided the service, the cap, I look at it like a pyramid as well. They're providing the services, for salaries and stuff like that of employees. What happens if everybody just stopped getting permits? What happens with the salary? It disappears. You understand? So cap no longer pay that, so that's the effect on that hotel. Not having an individual in the seat because it's not there. But my main purpose, one of the reasons I wanted to come tonight to address law enforcement. I'm pro-law enforcement, I've always been pro-law enforcement, and I'm glad to hear that we're putting additional 3 officers there. I think it's a long time overdue. Should have done it 2-3 years ago. We're losing officers for various reasons. I won't get into that, but I just caution us all. We have to really jump on that. I hear about the funding for the parks and all that, but I never heard of the funding, and I know the mayor has been working about funding for new police officers. Let's make that a priority. This is our village. This is our community. This is where we live. Sooner or later, it's going to be found out that we don't have proper coverage in their hotel. The law enforcement, we don't have proper coverage. I'm a former law enforcement myself. And when that be found out, you think other municipalities having problems, we're going to have bigger problems. You got a little flashbang on the news, and it came in and it went out as quick as it came in. But what happens? They start targeting us. We start being the target, of crime. We don't have nobody to compensate for that. I hear about the park, The park, it's gonna need some type of security. Some officers are gonna need to go by that park and make sure everything is okay. We haven't talked about that. We need to think about that. How much cover we have, can we adequately cover this village? We was known before that you wouldn't come in there and patrol because the police always on you. Now, I'm almost patrolling myself. So I'm looking forward to having the police department, upgrade really. I'm sorry to say, with the chief and stuff, I haven't seen him in 2 years. And even coming to my community, I haven't seen him. I mean, I see him back there now. This is the second time I saw him. And that's a shame. We got to get out of this office, get out of here, and ride around the community. This is our community. I'm paying taxes here too. I want to see services, from the police department. I'm here 100% behind the police department. I'm willing. I told the chief when he first got here, I'm here. You need me, use me. I'm here to assist and help the police department. It hasn't happened. And I'm going to be an honest person. You know how I am. But I think I need to be a step up in the area of police department, get the morale back where it used to be. And I hear nothing but wonderful things about you, Mayor, and your support of the police department and the officers. They tell me, how much you support, and we need that. But I want to say again, I'm gonna close it out. Council person is a hard job. You read the reports and you go through it. I respect and I appreciate it. And I think I need to come a little bit more. But I was glad to see your table. And we're not in a rush to make a decision. Because we probably need to talk about that cap thing. Some municipalities getting 100%, some not getting 100%. Why? Who determines that? How is it determined? Who gets it, who don't get it. So those questions maybe need to be asked. I'm like Dr. Warren. I don't believe in giving 100%. You can do something for me, for 100%. But I want to say thanks for the time. Thank you all for your time tonight. And may God bless you.
Councilperson Brunson, appreciate you. Anybody else? Good and welfare? How we looking on Zoom? We're good. Thumbs up. Wrapping up. Seeing none of good and welfare. Do I have a motion to adjourn, you guys? Motion moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second for adjournment?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. The regular council meeting for Tuesday, October 26, 2021 is adjourned at 9:33 p.m. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Getting ready for Airbnb stuff coming up second Tuesday. It's going to be good stuff. We're looking forward to that. Yeah, you have also, and you guys have also. I appreciate you guys.